welcome back to my channel. And today is a special day because we will be talking about The Greatest Showman in honor of my 100 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your love and support over my channel. Honestly, I am just so grateful for all of you. So, in honor of my 100 subscribers, we will be talking about The Greatest Showman. Okay, so The Greatest Showman starts off with the song, This is the Greatest Show. And we see a man called P.T. Bottom. And he is dancing, and then after that we get the Fox logo. And then it turned out that it is all a vision by the young Phineas P.T. Bottom, who is looking out the window at a suit and a hat that he wishes that he can own, because him and his father are tailors, and that he wishes that he can own. So when his father is done talking to the bank guy, they go off to work as tailors for Charity's family, and Charity is the little girl that he's known since he was a kid. They work for their family as tailors. So when Charity is doing her lesson, her lesson on learning how to drink tea the proper way, Phineas starts playing with her, and honestly, it is so cute. He was cleaning, but then he sees the cup on the shelf, and so he begins to drink out of it, and then puts something in his mouth, and then she sees him, and then she laughs, and then she gets her dress dirty, and oh my god, this part, I did not like this part. When Phineas admits that it was him that made Charity laugh, Charity's father hits Phineas, and then he says, "Stay away from my daughter." And honestly, I did not like that part at all. Like, dude, that was not necessary. You coulda politely told him to not interrupt her while she is learning her lessons. But no, that was unnecessary, and I do not like that. That was unnecessary for you to slap a young boy like that, and I do not like that. So while Phineas is out, he is sitting on the grass looking at the sunset. Charity sneaks out, and Phineas asks her, "How did you get out?" And then Charity says, "The window. My father is sending me out to finishing school, and now I don't know what is next for me or who I'm gonna be." And then he says, "I do. I know what's next for you." And then they sing "A Million Dreams." And this kid, who they cast in the role, oh my god, he had a beautiful voice. And then they go playing in an abandoned house. And I'll keep this abandoned house in mind because it will become important to the story later. So the next day, Phineas and his father are gathering some more material for their job when they see Charity's when 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 they see Charity in the carriage going off to finishing school. And Phineas is trying to catch up to the carriage and he is saying, Charity, Charity, don't go yet, Charity, no. And it's just so sad. Guys, it's just so sad because he's like, Charity, not my best friend, please don't go. And it's just so sad. Because they're only kids and they were best friends. So, throughout the years, this is what happened. So, they go back and forth from Phineas's life to Charity's. And throughout the years, the day that she left, Phineas wrote her a letter. And then the next day, it shows the mailman delivering a letter to Charity that was from Phineas. So she is in finishing school, and while the rest of the girls are playing or dancing or having fun, she is reading his letter. And throughout the years, they go back and forth to Phineas's life, to Charity's life, and finishing school. So, in Phineas's life, this is what happened. His father got really sick, and when his father got sick, he is still keeping up his promises and writing to Charity every chance he gets. His father got really sick and he passed away in the next scene. Okay. Phineas now doesn't have any money. Phineas is now poor. He is now poor. And honestly, guys, okay. Phineas is now poor. And honestly, you guys, this scene is both heartbreaking and touching. Because with Phineas now being poor, he is struggling to feed himself. So he stole food from a baker. And then the baker said, hey, give that back. And then, while he didn't get the bread, he did get an apple from a very nice old woman. So it just warmed my heart that that even that even that that even though things look bad for Phineas, you do find people out there who 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 would like to help Phineas, even though they don't have a lot. But if you give a little, that just makes a difference in somebody's life. And the fact that oh, the fact that nice old lady gave her one apple to Phineas, it just shows how there are kind people out there who would give you an apple or some water. Oh, and I do have to say, things do get better for Phineas because he does deliver newspapers for he does deliver newspapers for money now, and he writes to Charity what's happening with the newspaper stand. Oh, and he goes to live on and he goes to live in a boarding house. Well, the Great American Railroad. I guess it's a boarding house. Okay, so he does go to live in a boarding house. And then we see the grown-up Phineas, because they were teenagers all through the other scenes. So we see the grown-up Phineas coming to Charity's house to pick her up because they are going to go live together. And Phineas asks her father for her hand in marriage. And Phineas says, "Sir, I know I don't come from much, but if you give me a chance, I will show your daughter a wonderful life as grand as this one." And the father says, "She'll be back soon. She will get tired of your life of having nothing, and she will be back home." And all Charity says is, "Goodbye, mother, goodbye, father." And her and Phineas goes off in their magical world. They buy a house. They dance. They dance night after night with each other. And on the last dance, okay, on the first dance, on the first dance that they did, when they got their new houses, Phineas proposed when they got their new house. And then the second dance that they did, the second and the last dance that they did, to A Million Dreams, she was actually pregnant. So we go on to the present day where Phineas is working, but he actually gets fired from his job. And don't worry, don't worry. This is okay. Don't worry, the story gets better. He actually gets fired. He comes home and he tells Charity what happened. And then Charity says, "Well, I didn't really think that job was great for you anyway." And then Phineas says, "I'm so sorry, Charity. This isn't the life I promised you. I promised you a life full of magic." And then Charity says, "Well, what do you call those two girls?" So Charity is happy with the life that they built. And honestly, so am I. Because the life that they built is so cute. Like them with their two girls in their house. Oh my god, it's so adorable. And like, I love Charity and Phineas's relationship. It's like, she's with him no matter what. That's her best friend right there. So anyway, the mom tells the girls that the dad is home, and they sit and they celebrate Caroline's birthday. And Phineas brings home a light where they make wishes out of. And Caroline wishes to be a ballerina. The girls' names are Caroline and Helen. And Caroline wishes to be a ballerina. And Helen wishes for, well, I forget what Helen wishes for. But the mother says that she wishes for 4 nights just like this one. And so, while Phineas is at the bank, he sees a man laughing at funny comics. You know, those funny comics in newspapers. So, the man's mom comes out, and then that's when that's when Phineas gets the idea that maybe he needs to start a circus or a show. So he so him and his wife both agree that they are gonna help they are going to start a circus for the first time. Well, actually, it was Phineas's idea, but his wife did agree to it. So he decides that he wants to start a circus, right? So he buys the building, but the building's not that impressive, and like okay, okay, the building needs work because there's not much in that building except for statues, and and even and and even though he has a building, um not that many people come to see it because there's nothing in that building but a bunch of statues, and the only people who came to see it was the family. Caroline, Helen, and Charity came to see it. And he actually sold out 3 tickets from them. Like, honestly, his family is the best. They're the most supportive family ever. So, honestly, okay, he sold out 3 tickets from them. He sold out 3 tickets from his family, and then while he's tucking the girl into bed, the um Carol Helen asks, "How many tickets did you sell today, Dad?" And then and 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 then and 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 then he says 3. And then Helen gives him a good idea by telling him that he had a lot of dead things in his museum and he needs something sensational, amazing. So, the next day he is at the bank. I'm sorry, I for, I forgot that I told you guys that he bought a building to make a circus before he went to the bank. I'm sorry. So the next day he's at the bank and he sees someone laughing at funny comics at a newspaper, and then we see a lady coming out and and saying to her son Tom that it is time for them to go. So so he sees Phineas PT and he says, "What are you looking at?" And so the next day he goes to his house and he asks him if he wants to be a part of the show. And and um and because I see you just want people to laugh at me. And then, and, and then, PT had the nerve to say, well, that's why they come to the circus. And then Tom had every right to slam the door in his face, but I guess PT does apologize by saying, actually, I see a general. And when they see a general too, and you dress as the general, when they see you, they won't laugh. They will applaud. Oh, Tom, Tom has a condition that makes him small. He's a little person. That is the condition that he was born with. So he is a little person. And honestly, I like Tom. Oh, there's another character that I like with Tom, who is actually coming up next. So now that they have Tom in their show, so now they have the general. He is called the general. He is called the general. So now that he is dressed as a general, so now that he is dressed as the general, he wants to get more performers. So he gets this beautiful girl named Hattie. And I'm not kidding, her name really is Hattie. In the movie, I don't know what the actor's name is though, but in the movie her name is Hattie. And if I got the general's name wrong, I do apologize. So Hattie is this beautiful singer, and her condition is that she has facial hair. But she is this beautiful singer, and they actually get her for the show, and they actually give her a flyer of the show that he wants to put on. And it only goes uphill from there. He gets more performers, and he actually becomes famous because he actually had the team, and he tells his team, I want this everywhere. I want it on milk cartons. I want these everywhere. I want them on milk cartons, buggies. I want it everywhere. So he puts so he puts so he puts so he puts flyers for the show up, and it is everywhere. It's even on milk cartons and stuff. So so with the show getting bigger as it actually is getting a good amount of people, and he's actually sold out for the first time. But then he goes to meet Philip Carlisle, and Philip Carlisle becomes his junior partner. Well, apprentice, really. Philip Carlisle becomes Philip Carlisle becomes his junior, his partner, and he promises to pay him 10% of his wages that he gets. But I forgot to tell you guys, this show has a lot of music. So A Million Dreams is one of them. Then we get the song Come Alive when he begins to get famous and then put everything about his circus all around the city. Then we get the song Come Alive. And then when he meets Philip Carlisle in that bar, we get The Other Side with P.T. Bottom and Philip Carlisle. And Philip Carlisle is played by Zac Efron. So we get The Other Side, and he actually meets Anne Shirley, who was played by Zendaya, and trust me, Zendaya did a beautiful job in this role when she played Anne Shirley, because I just love seeing her on the trapeze. It just looks so cool to be up in the air like that. I just love seeing her on the trapeze in the movie. Okay, so anyways, he meets Anne Shirley, and Anne Shirley says, "In your act, Miss Carlisle," and then Philip says, "I don't have an act," and then Anne Shirley says, "Everyone has an act." Oh, and Anne had a brother, but I forget what the brother's name is, and I did not put his name in my notes. But yeah, but she had a brother who is with her on the trapeze, and I am so sorry, but I do not know the name of her brother. So, the performance of Come Alive, when the circus first opens, it is an outstanding show. I mean, everyone did a fantastic job and everybody loves it. And they're beginning to get so famous that they are getting merchandise. But the one thing I do not like about this movie is that there are people who don't like the circus, and like they are protesting, like, shut the circus down, send those people back where they came from. And I'm like sitting here yelling at the TV when I saw this part. I'm like, stop hating on them, leave the circus alone. What do they ever do to you? They are talented performers and they are talented people. Leave them alone. Seriously, I got so mad seeing that part, but don't worry, cause don't do not worry, because P.T. Bottom tells them all to come inside because after they perform Come Alive, they are actually getting bullied outside, and then when the fight breaks out, P.T. tells them all to come inside, and he actually shuts the door out on the people who were bullying them. And I was like, Leave them alone. Leave them alone. You know nothing. Leave them alone. Because, honestly, everybody in that circus is just so talented. And it was just so sad to see them getting bullied like that. But anyway, on to happy news. They are getting so famous that they are in the newspaper. But they were in the newspaper before. But a nasty critic said P.T. Bottom's circus is nothing but un unoriginal, and it is all fake. But but this is what but this is what PT says to the reporter when he sees them again outside. PT says, "Tell me, does those smiles seem fake?" And I was like, "Yeah, you tell them. Those smiles are not fake. People love the circus, and they love all the performances. So, it's on you." So, when everybody and every family member of PT is there, like his wife Charity is there to read the newspaper, and his daughter are there trying on the merchandise, and the newspaper says that 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 the performers are wonderful and extraordinary. Well, actually, the newspaper didn't say that, but I forgot what the newspaper said. But anyway, on happier news, Philip, Philip, Philip Carlisle has got them an invitation to go see the Queen, and and the girl he had the crush on, she asks, "Are we all invited?" And then Philip says, "Well, I guess I tell the Queen that we are all coming, or none of us are coming at all." And then they are all happy and cheerful, and even and even Anne Shirley and Philip are smiling at each other. So I think that Anne likes him too, but Philip is totally crushing on her because he is blushing, and it is so cute. Like, he is dropping, like, the first time they saw each other, he literally dropped her, he literally dropped his hat to, to stare at her beautiful face. Aww, they're just so cute. I love Anne and Philip so much. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so anyway, they are going to meet the Queen, and the Queen meets the General, and the Queen actually calls him, "Well, look at you. You are quite the General." And the General says something back, but I forgot what he said. And then the Queen just begins to laugh, and then we meet another singer, an opera singer, the White Nightingale, Miss Jewel, Miss Jewel Lynn. So, Mr. Carlisle goes up with P.T. Bottom, and P.T. Bottom asks her to be in the show, And she said yes, but um, she says, why me? And then PT says, I just want to give my audience something extraordinary and real. So she sings Never Enough. And let me tell you, this is a wonderful song and I love it so much. And and Anne and Philip tried to hold hands, but once Philip's parents sees, they let go. And I'm like, why let go? You guys are so cute. You can hold hands if you want to. And so, with 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 Miss Lynn being a big deal now that she is in the circus now, PT is going on tour, and oh, I forgot to tell you what happened. When he met the Queen, he invited Charity's parents, and then when the father tried to apologize, PT so embarrassed him and said, yes, those are your granddaughters, the ones that you haven't seen before. And then PT calls him out by saying, yes, the Taylor's boy who thought you would amount to nothing has now amounted to something. And then the father gets smart with him and says, all this and just steal the Taylor's son. And then PT tells him to get out. And then Charity is so embarrassed that she walks out with the girls. And then Miss Lynn makes a toast. And then the best song out of the whole movie, well, at least to me, the best song out of the whole movie, Hattie and everybody tries to get in to celebrate with PT. And then PT says, what are you guys doing here? You guys should be out there selling tickets. And then PT tells them just to have a good show. And then he closes the door on their faces. I'm like, excuse me. They helped you make this all happen. Put some respect on their names. They do not work. They just do not work for you. They are a part of the performance. They are the reason the performance happened. So let them in, let them toast their victory, and let them take joy in their good fortune that they made you. They made you like this. Without them, there will be no show. So put some respect on them. But no, he closes the door in their faces, and then Hattie and the rest of them sing, This Is Me. And let me tell you, This Is Me is such a powerful and beautiful song. And it is my second favorite song out of the whole movie. My first favorite song is Rewrite the Stars. So, they they sing "This Is Me," and they actually come through the doors and they actually celebrate with everybody. But everyone is staring at them, but they are celebrating with everybody anyway, and that is what I am talking about. So, in the next scene, I got the scenes mixed up for a second. I, I, I do apologize. So, in the next scene, they are P.T. Bottom and Miss Lynn are going on tour, while Philip, his partner, is handling everything by himself at the circus. So he tells Philip that he wants him to sell tickets. And PT actually took a loan out at the house, and 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 he just wants Philip to sell tickets, and that he wants Philip to get like like big seats where fans could come from all over, and he wants Philip to get all this stuff. And then Philip tells him, PT, they come to see you. Your crazy ideas. You. And then Philip says, I don't have time for that right now. I need to go on tour. But he doesn't say that exactly like that, but honestly, that's what he should have said, because he didn't even stop. He didn't. He didn't even stop by to say, "Bye, have a good show, you guys." He just left, and then Philip had to be the one to tell everyone that he is going on tour, and then Hattie had to remind him that he had a date with Ann Whitaker. So he so Philip bought 2 tickets for Ann and him to go to the theater together. And when I'm so I am so sorry, you guys, my nose was itching. And when Ann and Philip and then when Ann and Philip went into the theater to go watch the theater, this is when Philip's parents, oh my gosh, I don't like this part neither. This is when Philip's parents come up to him and say, Philip, is that you? My gosh, Philip, have you no shame? I mean, helping those people perform is one thing, but but showing yourself in public with the help, and then Anne runs away and she is crying, and I'm like, what the heck? He is on a date. No, forget the date. How dare you talk to her that way? And that is what Philip said. But I'm like, Philip, I'm glad you're saying it now. But why didn't you say that when Anne was right there? Okay, okay, okay. I apologize. I mean, at least he's saying it now. So he told his father, how dare you talk to her that way? And then his mother says, don't forget your place, Philip. And then he says, my place? Mother, if this is my place, I do not want it. And I do not want anything to do with you and Father anymore. So he goes to see Anne, and then he tells Anne that they are small-minded people, and why do you care what they think? And then Anne says, it's not just them. You never had some, you never had anyone look at you the way your parents looked at me. The way the whole world would look at us. And then they sang Rewrite the Stars. And by singing this, Anne is saying to Philip how how um how how she wants to be together with him, but they can't because they are afraid what people are gonna think. And I'm like sitting there saying to myself, who cares what people think? You two like each other. Go for it. I'm like, go for it. Like, I was watching the movie for this review, writing the script at the same time, and I was like, you go for it. You like each other. Go for it. But after singing, Anne Anne walks off the stage, leaving Zac Efron just staring after her. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. When he goes on tour, when he goes on tour with Miss Lynn, the girl they're chasing after the carriage and saying, Daddy, wait, don't go. And then we get my third favorite song from out of the movie, Walking the Tightrope. And in Walking the Tightrope, they show him with Miss Lynn on tour, and then they showed the mom taking care of the girls by herself. And then they show Philip taking care of the circus by himself. And before he went on tour, his wife told him that we have everything we need. Okay. Before he went on tour with Miss Lynn, his wife told him that our girls are happy and that you don't need to have everyone love you, Finn. You just need a few more. You just need a few good people. And then Finn said, I know that, but then he still goes on tour. And then on tour, him and Miss Lynn are talking about about the good newspaper article, and they are toasting. And then Miss Lynn almost kisses him. And but Finn says we only have a few more hours till curtain. And then Miss Lynn gets upset and she says, I am just one of your performers, aren't I? And then he says, Charity, it's not like that. Please, I need you to finish the show or I'll lose everything. I gave up everything for this tour. And then Miss Lynn says, well, so have I. It seems we both lost. And so, on her last day of performing for him, she kisses him. And then he says, what was that? Because the performance is over and they're taking their bow. And then she kisses him, and then he says, what was that? And she says, that was goodbye. And then she walks off the stage. But while they were gone, Philip was talking about the new acts that they have every night, spreading the word about the circus. And then the two, and then the people who don't like the circus, they come, they hit Philip, and everybody gets in a fight, and then the circus catches on fire, and then when PT is back, he sees the fire with his family, and then it turns out that everyone's okay, but the animals are gone, and the circus is in smoke. So the building is in smoke now. And PT just got home from the tour. He came back early. From the tour, and this is when he sees the fire. And Anne's brother is looking for Anne. But he doesn't see Anne. And then Philip goes after Anne, but it turned out that Anne was heading someplace else, and she's right there. So then PT goes in there to save Philip, and Philip gets put in the hospital, and it turned out that since Jenny Lynn has quit the tour, it turned out that he won't be able to get the money back to rebuild the place, and it turned out that when he goes back home, he sees that Charity is leaving because the bank evicted them because he put money on the house to get more money for his show. And then he says, and then he says, I'm not in love with her. And then Charity says, I know you're not. Not with her, not with me, not with anyone. Just you and your show. And then he asks her, why is she leaving? And then she says, I'm going home. And then he says, this is your home. And then she pulled out the paper and says, the bank's evicting us. Why didn't you ask me before you did this? I never minded the risk as long as we were in it together. And so, with that, Charity takes her suitcases and the girls, and she goes to stay with her parents. PT is at the bar, but Tom the General finds him and and everybody says they they all they 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 that they were all in the dark. Nobody saw us until we became a part of the circus. And you gave us a home and you gave us a family and we want our family back. And so they sing from now on, which is a fantastic number. And Philip wakes up and him and Anne kiss for the first time. Oh, and Anne has been at his bedside ever since he was in the building and in the fire. And so Philip wakes up, they kiss, and 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 Finn goes back and and Finn goes back to get Charity. And then her father says that she's not there. Then the girl says that she's at the beach, and then he tells Charity that he is sorry, and he sings his version from now on. And then she sings a, a million things, however big, however small. And then they hug, and then they kiss. And so when they are trying to see what is left of the building, nothing is left. But the people who started the fire are caught. So they're caught. So that's a good thing. And and the reporter who didn't like his show, he says, I never liked your show, but I always hope the people did. And I do hope you will rebuild. Oh, and they caught the people who started the fire. So I do think that was nice of the reporter to say, like, I do hope you rebuild because the people really liked your show. So that was nice. So the bank said no, but Philip said you can just have my money to 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 actually restart the circus back up. And so instead of a building, they have a tent. And then the final song is "This Is the Greatest Show," and um, and then they do their performance, and then they pass PT's hat around to see who's going to be the next leader of the circus. And then when it goes back to him, he passes it on to Philip and says, "It's all yours." And then Philip says, "Well, what would you be doing?" And then he says, "Watching my girls grow up, the show must go on." So Philip goes in the performance and he sings "This Is the Greatest Show," and then he kisses Zendaya for the first time, and then we hear applause, and then we see PT on an elephant greeting his daughters and his wife, and the girls are just loving to see his dad on top of the elephant. They're like, "Hi, Dad, hi!" and then his wife Charity is just laughing. She's just laughing. She's just so joyful. She's just laughing. She's just so joyful to see him so happy. Like on the elephant, like, hey girls, hey. So the last scene is is um is 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 Anne kissing Philip, and and everybody's saying this is the greatest show on the stage, and we got Anne kissing Philip, and Finn PT is actually in the audience at his daughter's ballet recital. And then he is saying, it's everything you ever want, and it's everything you ever need. It's here right in front of you. This is where you want to be. And that is the end of the movie. Oh, and they do and in the end credits, when the movie is ending, they do a tribute to the real P.T. Bottom. And that is the end of the movie. Bye, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.